going on, everybody? This is my second video for kind of that little series I talked about that I'm going to be doing, just about how to customize your guitar. Everything that I know. I don't know everything. I don't know. The thing I know least about is electronics. I think that's kind of with everybody. That's always like the black hole. There's just so much to know, and I haven't learned all of that yet, but I know enough to at least give you some direction. But if you've been playing for longer than like 13 years, then you're gonna know more than me, most likely. So check it out. Today we're gonna talk about, and I'm using my Viper 400 series. Gotta do a pinch harmonic. It's basically going to be about kind of the I'm basing this off of that theory that maintenance is cheaper than repair. If you can maintain your guitar and just do the little things, and keep something from breaking, it's going to pay off later, rather than having to buy a whole new part or get it fixed by a professional or whatever. And just other little things to kind of help you keep your guitar consistently the way you want it. And I'll start off by talking about on that subject. Alright, on this, and this is for people with, well, I guess you could do this with a Floyd Rose maybe. I don't have one in front of me, so I can't tell you exactly, but I have the Tone Pros bridge with the stop tailpiece, which I love. Basically, a lot of times these little knobs on your Tone Pros bridge are really hard to turn with the strings on there. You ain't turning that with your fingers, you're doing it with pliers or something. So basically when you take it off though, you can just flick it with your finger and those things will spin for a minute. And then you lose your place, and it's like, then you put the strings on and it's like, well crap, this is too high or too low, and then you have to like loosen the strings. So what I did, basically, I don't know, this might be hard to see, I'm on a webcam recording this, so if you can see that little red notch on the knob, I used that. Basically, I painted a little notch on the knob, so when I take the strings off, I know that that notch is supposed to be right parallel with the pickup, and it's supposed to be just enough to where I can fit my pick up under that. So that's how far it's supposed to be, and if you do it a full turn, then it'll be too high, or the pick won't fit under there. So that's how I remember, just because I like my guitar to play one way all the time, no matter what gauge strings I use, whatever. I like my action right where it's at. So that's a cool little thing you can do. It doesn't look tacky or anything, it's just a tiny little, very tiny little red line. You can use pretty much any kind of paint, because it's not like it's getting dragged through war or anything. It's not going to get worn off. So that's one little cool thing. Another, this is something that I notice a lot of people doing. Okay, you've got these little, I believe that's an Allen wrench, yeah. You've got little Allen wrench ports on your volume and tone knobs, on most. And just make sure those are kind of hand tight, not super tight, but when they get loose, you start kind of jumping gears when you turn your knob, and that'll strip those inner gears in there, and it's one of those things that after a while it's going to be stripped. You're going to have to buy a new part, when if you just keep the tension down and keep it nice and tight, and you don't, you know, really torque the crap out of your knobs when you're turning them up, just turn them till they stop. That helps a lot. And also your tuners, sometimes you feel like your tuners, one will spin a little easier than the other, or like one's like you have to really put some elbow grease behind it to get it to turn. Just check, on most tuners they'll have these little screws on the end here. Just check and make sure those are, you know, in is pretty good, because and make sure the tension's good on all of them, because I've actually had this, not on these Grover tuners, because Grover tuners are awesome, but you know, I've had a screw fall out of a tuner before, and it's just a mess to put all that back together. So that's one thing you can do, is just make sure those screws are tight in there. Keep the tension just right, you know. And so yeah, just little things like that that really help me out. I try to keep my guitar, it's just like a car, man. You just keep it in good working order, make sure everything's all tight, you know. Other than that, you know, you've got where your tuning pegs are, you've got these little hex nuts, and just make sure those are tightened down too, because then you'll get that wobble, and they're just, you don't want something to be wobbly. Like, I can shake this guitar and not hear metal clinking against more metal, so that's the way it should be. But yeah, also make sure you don't tighten down on your pickup rings here, because I know I made the mistake when I first got this guitar and didn't know as much. I tightened down my pickup rings too much, and now those are cracked. It doesn't fall off or wiggle or anything, but it just doesn't look good, you know. So yeah, all these little things, it's like, you know, on a scale of 10, each of these things is like 0.2, 0.3, you know, maybe even a full 1, but it's like they add up, and it's like you have all these things wrong with your guitar, and eventually it's just gonna be like, wow, this guitar feels like garbage. Stuff's wobbling around, it doesn't stay in tune right. So just all the hardware, I guess, is where we're going. Make sure everything's tightened down, even. Help yourself some little memory tools, like making the red lines on the knobs. You know, make sure your knobs are good and your jack. If you unscrew your jack, take that out. It's got that little bracket that basically, when you plug it in, it's that little feeler that goes on your cable. A lot of times after that thing going in and out, it'll bend it up, and you'll get that, you know, when you bend your cord, it'll come off and give you that static. Basically, just bend that bracket back down a little bit. Sometimes that'll take care of a loose jack, so you don't have to go and buy a whole new one. So, cool little stuff like that. So, hope that helps somebody out. And we'll get a little bit deeper into, I think the next one's going to be like finger placement. Just how to get the most out of your guitar and where to place your fingers on the fretboard and everything, just to get the maximum sound and the best technique. So, stay tuned for that. If I forget in the next week, remind me, because I forget easily.